Right, now that we've talked about fractions and adding negative fractions, let's talk about what we need to do when we have decimals. Decimals follow the same exact rules that fractions do and that integers do, so we really just need to remember, how do we actually add and subtract decimals? So let's look at an example. Let's say I have negative 6.2 plus 5.8. Okay? First thing I'm going to see, different signs means I actually need to solve a subtraction problem here. Now, the most important thing to remember when we work with decimals is that the larger decimal needs to go on top, and we need to line up the decimal places. So in this case, I'm going to line up the decimal places. So I have 6.2 over 5.8. I said since they're different signs, I need to subtract, so we're going to subtract these. And now remember, we're going to subtract this just like we normally would, just pretending that there's not a decimal point there. We're just going to bring it into our answer. So I can't do 2 minus 8, so I'm going to borrow from the 5 and make this a 12. 12 minus 8 is 4, and 5 minus 5 is 0. So my answer here is, or the numerical part of my answer is going to be 0.4. The last thing we need to do, as with any time we have negatives or positives, is we need to determine whether the answer is going to be positive or negative. So I'm going to look at the numbers as if the decimals weren't there. I have 6.2 and I have 5.8. I know that 6.2 is bigger. Since that's a negative in the problem, the answer is going to be negative 0.4. Let's try another problem. Let's try this time 12.67 plus negative 5.2. Again, different signs, so I need to actually solve a subtraction problem. So I have 12.67. I'm going to subtract from that 5.2. Remember, I need to line up my decimal points. Notice how the decimal points are lined up. It's okay that there's nothing under the 1 and nothing under the 7. I can put zeros there if I need to. Now I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7. 6 minus 2 is 4. Bring down the decimal point. 2 minus 5 I can't do, so I'm going to borrow from the 1, make it a 0. The 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. So my answer here is 7.47. And now we need to decide whether it should be positive or negative. So I'm going to look in the problem. I have a 12.67 and I have a 5.2. Well, I know 12.67 is bigger. That's positive in the problem, so my answer is going to be positive. So my final answer is just 7.47. Okay, let's try another one. Let's this time say I'm going to have negative 26.8 plus negative 5.75. Move this to the top of the screen. I'm going to go through the same steps that I always talk about. These are the same signs. So this time I need to solve an addition problem. Adding decimals is just like subtracting them. Line up the decimal points, 26.8, and line up the second one, obviously, 5.75. This time I'm going to add. Again, it's okay if I don't have everything lined up. I can put zeros as placeholders. 0 plus 5 is 5. 8 plus 7 I know is 15. I'm going to carry my 1. Now I have 1 plus 6 is 7, and 7 plus 5 is 12. I'm going to carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So this time I have 32.55. But since both of the numbers in the problem are negative, my answer needs to be negative. So the answer is negative 32.55. Let's do one more here for good luck. Let's say negative 10.24 plus positive 2.48. Different signs means I should subtract. So I have 10.24 minus 2.48. To do my subtraction here, 4 minus 8 I can't do. I'm going to borrow. 14 minus 8 is 6. Can't do 1 minus 4, so I'm going to have to come over here. I'm going to look at this as a 10, and I'm going to change the whole thing to a 9. And I'm going to give another 1 over here. So now I have 11 minus 4 is 7. And this 10 became a 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. So I have 7.76. And I just need to decide positive or negative. Well, I look at the problem. The bigger number is the 10.24. That's bigger than 2.28. The part of that is negative. So my answer is negative 7.